Happy Wednesday, my friends. I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys, especially all you new folks to the industry. You know, more and more people that are selling insurance, they're doing it over the telephone. And it's really exciting for me to see that because for so many years, I've been talking about final expense telesales, the benefits of being in telesales. And for those of you guys that have been following that, you can go back several years since I've been talking about the benefits of selling insurance over the telephone. But what's crazy today is that more and more agents that are on the telephone are getting in trouble with TCPA laws and DNC laws. And if you're new and you're asking yourself, what are these? Well, bottom line, TCPA laws state that you can't contact somebody, text message somebody, use any kind of artificial intelligence to just randomly call some list of phone numbers. Because if any of those people are on the do not call registry, that's a violation right then and there. That's the TCPA guidelines. And the do not call registry is a list of millions of phone numbers with over 50% of Americans registered on there so they can stop the unsolicited calls that they typically get every day. Think about that. So if you're picking up the phone and making cold calling to your, let's say, some old leads that somebody gave you or you purchased, and any of those phone numbers is on the do not call registry, you're talking about a violation, 43,000 roughly on the high end. That's one violation. So more and more insurance agents and just people in general that are picking up the phone to solicit goods and services are getting in trouble with that. For myself, this year alone, I have settled 3 unsolicited calls to my cell phone, which is funny. And this is from people soliciting Medicare, health insurance, accident, I mean, you name it. But my phone number's been on the do not call registry since 2022. And these people are getting in trouble settling with me because they realize they're out of compliance and doing it wrong. I'm talking, that's one cell phone, guys. How many unsolicited phone calls are you getting on a daily basis? Something to think about. So you definitely want to know these guidelines because it can cost you. I was reading this post from a well-known defense attorney in this type of legal issues concerning TCPA and DNC. His name is Eric Troutman. And he was saying on a post today, in fact, that in the last 2 years, TCPA complaints and lawsuits and filings were up over 55%. Think about that. In the last 2 years, they're up that much. It just goes to show that more and more people are on the telephone, but very few insurance agencies are spending the time to train you on the do's and don'ts when it comes to these guidelines. I'll throw some out there. Do you have a DNC checker that's accurate? Something to think about, because if it's not accurate, you can be calling a bunch of people that could turn into, a fine for you because they're on the do not call registry, but your system was not accurate. There's no excuse. Or some of you guys that are buying leads. That has become a major issue for a lot of people because their thinking is, okay, I don't know the ins and outs of these guidelines, but I'm going to hire a marketing company to generate these leads for me, and I'll pay them and they'll take the responsibility, which we do the same thing. We buy leads, we generate leads, we get it. But the problem is that a lot of these marketing groups, not all, but a big majority of them, are clueless on these guidelines, and in most cases they don't have the right mechanisms that are accurate to making sure that you're not going to get in trouble. Or some centers I've even seen fabricate opt-in. Let that sink in. So they're cold calling people and they're opting in on behalf of the client as part of their sales pitch and creating bogus opt-in. So you definitely want to be on top of this, ladies and gentlemen, because again, if in the last 2 years these type of filings and lawsuits have increased by 56% in America, it's just only a matter of time before you're facing a litigator or some form of complaint where they're asking you for money for the violations that you made. Think about that. One TCPA violation can cost you upwards of $1,500. That's one. One DNC violation, one phone call, can cost you upwards of $43,000. That's one phone call. So it's just not fun when you're facing that kind of stress and dealing with a litigator that he ain't going anywhere. So most agents, most people, what they end up having to do is settle to avoid more loss. And it's just unfortunate because you shouldn't have to. In most cases, if you're following everything by the guidelines, you're doing everything in your power to make sure that you're doing things not in a form that's negligence, but you're being proactive about your compliance, and you make a mistake, I promise you people are going to be more forgiving with somebody in a company that's in that category than someone that doesn't have no idea what these laws entail, how they work, and how they affect you. Do the research. Again, if you're picking up the phone to making appointments, to working live transfers, to selling insurance, do you know these laws? Because if you're fully relying on maybe the agency you're working for or the company that you're buying leads from, you're going to be in some really, really dark place when you find out that most of these people don't know what's going on. So something to think about. We help agents with their leads if it's the right fit. It's not cheap. It takes money. But once you set up the right marketing strategy, it takes time and money. You can get it right.